Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Welcome back to the Manggcast for July 4th, 2015. Yes, it is the 4th of July, as they say. So happy Independence Day if you're from the US of A. If you're not from that one specific country, then happy Saturday. I really think it's gonna be a shorter episode today, partly because it is a holiday. I've got ribs in the oven, things going on, but I think mostly because there's not a whole lot of news going on. If there were, we probably would talk a whole bunch. Apart from, the huge shitstorm going down over at Reddit, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but I guess a few things, because a short week show is better than no show at all, right? Sure. Alright, so let's get into the video game stuff, and really, when I look for articles, obviously I pay attention to the news, video game and movie news. I pay attention to kind of all the big stuff throughout the whole week. I hear about all the kind of big stuff, but then on Saturdays I go looking for any stories I forgot about or stuff I didn't maybe hear about or things like that. And so I tend to pick either the big stories or stories that specifically interest me. And so for video game news this week, all I have is 2 articles about Nintendo. Now, I don't know what to say, because really neither of them are big, and neither of them really interest me because I don't like Nintendo, but I guess because I don't like Nintendo, that's why I picked them. But either way, that's what we're going to be talking about for video games. Really, there was just not a whole lot going on. There's always, if you go to any video game news website throughout the week, it's going to be filled with all sorts of stuff, but some of it's just so minor, or it's for specific games I don't play or don't care about, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's not easy to put together a show like this during a slow week. But okay, the first article is it's from Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he says, well, it's about the new Metroid Prime. I guess I'll just put that out there. It's about the new Metroid Prime Federation Force and how it didn't receive a very warm welcome from fans. And Mr. Reggie, says that it's because people haven't played it yet. So I'm going to read the quote from Reggie. What the fan at home saw was something in the Metroid Prime universe that they weren't expecting. The reaction has been negative. There's no sugarcoating it. This is an example where fans who aren't able to get their hands on the game may be at a bit of a competitive disadvantage. Everyone who has played what we are showing regarding Metroid Prime, they've come across really pleased. My ask is that fans trust us. Okay. Here's what I have to say. I think Nintendo has lost a bit of the right to trusting. Now he says that people who have played it have come across really pleased, but of course he's going to say that. Why would he say otherwise? It's yeah, people that actually played it, they confirm all your suspicions. It's absolute shit. No, of course he's going to say they're really pleased. And this is in kind of conjunction with a tweet from Iwata from right after E3 that was translated as saying, we take opinions of this year's digital event seriously and will work to better meet your expectations. And Reggie said about that it wasn't an apology tweet, it was an I hear you. Well, of course they're not going to apologize. It's too late to apologize. But it's an I hear you. It's Yes, we know we're kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the video game industry right now. We hear you. We don't care, but we hear you. You're still buying our shit. So, I don't know. I guess I can't say much about Metroid Prime Federation Force. I haven't played it. But it's just... I'm just wondering how Nintendo is dealing with all the kind of negative reactions to pretty much everything that they do. Now, granted, from what I understand, Splatoon did not receive a great reaction when it was announced. And now that it's out, people are okay with it. People are playing it, things like that. I haven't played it. I have no interest in that. But overall, I mean, just stepping back and looking at the big picture, Nintendo is not, it's not your friendly local video game company anymore. It's not like the big, it's not like the old days of Nintendo versus Sega, where, Nintendo was just the grand champion, and if you were a Sega fan, you were stupid. No, I'm just kidding. Even though I was a Nintendo fan. But see, that's just it. I was a Nintendo fan. That was everything. Like, there was nothing else. It was Nintendo for me. And for a lot of people. A lot of people, myself included, never touched a Sega console. And so Nintendo was just the world. Nintendo is no longer the world. So it's tough to trust them. And so that leads, I guess, into my other article. That says, this is from Miyamoto, talking to Fortune. And it was about the failure of the Wii U. And as far as, console failures go, I wouldn't put it on the level of the Dreamcast, but it's the closest thing I think we've had to the Dreamcast, since then. As far as a console goes, I mean, the Vita has crashed pretty damn hard. But as far as a home console goes, the Wii U, man. So, Miyamoto says, this is what he said. I feel like people never really understood the concept behind Wii U and what we were trying to do. I think the assumption is we were trying to create a game machine and a tablet, and really what we were trying to do was create a game system that gave you tablet-like functionality for controlling that system and give you two screens that would allow different people in the living room to play in different ways. Unfortunately, because tablets at the time were adding more and more functionality and becoming more and more prominent, this system and this approach didn't mesh well with the period in which we released it. I still feel it was a very novel approach and a very interesting idea. Yeah, see, that's the thing about ideas, is that, anybody can come up with an idea, and it might be interesting. That doesn't mean that it's a good idea. It would have been... he says that it came down to the wrong approach at the wrong time. The right time for the Wii U to sell a whole lot would have been 2002. Unfortunately. They say, he says that it's because, it was a tablet, and tablets were becoming really big, and so everybody just wanted regular tablets. They didn't want a tablet game console because of that. No, nobody wants a tablet game console in general. We don't need that. A novel approach, I guess. I remember back, they touted it as kind of a big thing that you could play a game on your gamepad, the Wii U gamepad, while somebody else was watching TV. And this was like a big deal for Nintendo. And really, it kind of tells you the mindset that Nintendo is living in. They think that it's still 1999, I think. That would have been huge in 1999. But nowadays, do you know how many television sets are in my home? Let me count, honestly. television sets / monitors. Oh, man. 5, 6, 8, at least 8. There's at least 2 per person in my household. We have, like, there's no, like, I guess for some people out there, maybe that's a big feature. You have one big TV in your home that the family crowds around like a coal-burning furnace or something. I don't know. And so maybe it is a big deal that, oh, in the old days, you can't play games, we're trying to watch the television. Oh, but look, now you can play on your gamepad instead. It's almost like a Game Boy. It's just, they're living in the past, man. It's a novel approach, but it's not a good approach. But that is far from the only reason why the Wii U failed. The Wii U failed for a whole lot of reasons. One, because it was a novel approach in a world where we don't really need novel approaches. 2, because it was called the Wii U, which confused a whole hell of a lot of people. Really, I just don't understand. That was just... that had to have been Miyamoto's idea, I swear to God. The Wii U, I mean, come on. It has nothing to do with the Wii. Jeez. And then finally, well, being an inferior console as far as specifications, and really not garnering much third-party support because of that, that hurt it a lot. Because a lot of people tend to, I mean, for me, I buy everything, it doesn't matter, but a lot of people tend to just buy one console. And so, yeah, you could support Nintendo and buy the Wii U and play Mario and things like that, but you're gonna not play, if you have any interest in almost any other games out there, multi-platforms or whatever, you're kind of getting screwed. You better just freaking like Mario a whole hell of a lot. Whereas you could buy an Xbox One or a PS4 and get access to many, many AAA, games coming out. And some people are like, I don't care about AAA, I care about Mario. Well, then, this podcast is probably not for you. You can enjoy your Wii U, and that's about it. But for a lot of people that are into video games, they like the newest, flashiest shit, which has not been on a Nintendo system for quite some time. Yeah, so the Wii U failed for a lot of reasons. But this is something I didn't know about. I don't know if this was specifically just revealed in this Fortune interview or what, but apparently Miyamoto is not going to be involved in the NX's development, the new console, the new system. And this is pretty interesting. And I wonder if he's voluntarily stepping back. Or I wonder if he's being forced to step back. I mean, obviously, he says that he's pulled himself back out and he wants to be involved in more just software stuff like the new Star Fox, things like that. But Nintendo, at its core, is business. And if they want to keep doing the shit that they want to do, they have to keep making money. The 3DS makes money, but not as much as they want. They need a big console to compete with the big boys. The Wii U is not that, so the NX might do that. And maybe some people in Nintendo in charge feel that Miyamoto is steering them in a weird direction. I mean, Miyamoto is unarguably a very, very, very important person in the history of video games. Nobody will argue that. I mean, I don't know if video games would be where they were if it weren't for him. Very important guy, but, nobody is relevant or a genius forever. Eventually, you kind of got to step back and let other people handle the future of a company. So, again, I don't know. It's impossible for me to tell. with the goings-ons of the interior of Nintendo and who was all involved in the Wii U's ideas, but I can bet that Miyamoto was pretty crucial to the Wii U development, and now that it's kind of crashing and burning, they're looking to point fingers at somebody. That could be Miyamoto. So, he says that he's pulling himself back. I don't know if I buy that. I mean, if I was going to throw a guess out there, I would say that the big wigs at Nintendo aren't happy with what's going on. They want him out of the way for the NX to deliver a more conventional approach to console gaming. That's my guess, but who's to say? We'll find out next year at E3 what the NX is going on. I don't know. If the NX... It's hard to say. If the NX is really... If the NX is another gimmick, another novel approach, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, no matter what, if they announce Zelda as a launch title, it's going to sell. I mean, yeah, that's a big deal no matter what. But beyond that, I don't know if they can survive another novel approach. I don't even know what it would be. However, if they go a more conventional route, they go back to just being a normal video game console, and they release it with top-of-the-line specs 2 years after the current generation has started, so they could get even a leg up on that. But that seems so anti-Nintendo at this point. But Nintendo, as it is falling down a mountain, as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know. But I guess, to be honest, I'm kind of glad that Miyamoto's not going to be involved. Like, I think that's the best news that I could have heard about the NX, to be honest, at this point. Like I said, I respect the guy a whole hell of a lot. We wouldn't be here, probably, if it wasn't for him. Incredible man. But we need new blood in Nintendo. They need rejuvenation. I'm not saying that I'm done forever with Nintendo. I have hope. I have hope in my heart that Nintendo can turn things around and regain my trust. But right now, they don't exactly have it. And that could be because of Miyamoto. So, yeah, I guess. There, I turned it kind of up on a little hopeful note there. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for video game news. Not a whole hell of a lot to say. Like I said, gonna be a shorter episode. So let's move on to movie news. And let's get the obligatory comic book nonsense out of the way right away. And this is another thing where it's like, when I was just looking through all the articles for the whole past week, let me just say that if you are not a fan of comic book movies in the year 2015, it's got to be just really shitty. To be a fan of movies, but not comic book movies, it's got to be just ass. Because so many articles that I skim past were just comic book, DC, Marvel, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, X-Men, Suicide Squad, Deadpool, Doctor Strange, Green Lantern, Batman. It's just, oh my gosh, so many minor things that just so many people are up in frenzies about comic book movies nowadays. It's insane. So if you are out there and you're not a fan of comic book movies, I apologize. I apologize that you have to live in this world at this point in time. But unfortunately, I am a fan of comic book movies, and so I like to talk about them. So the one article that I cherry picked, like I said, there are so many just tiny articles, and it's just not worth me talking about. Just look at this thing that appeared in the new Ant-Man trailer for 1 second, and let's talk about that's not what I do. But I do want to talk about Batman versus Superman. Because apparently Zack Snyder, the director, showed off bits and pieces of the fight between Batman versus Superman in the upcoming movie. And Apparently, the scene involved the two heroes battling each other atop a rooftop in the pouring rain, both being thrown through walls and skylights. And the article mentioned that if you went to the special IMAX teaser screening, you got several seconds of additional footage. See, this is what I'm saying. Several seconds of additional footage featuring the heroes charging towards each other and locking arms. And reports say... A report said that Batman will wield a kryptonite spear against Superman. Yeah. So, first of all, I didn't know that kryptonite was a thing in the new... In, like, the DC Cinematic Universe, or whatever they're calling it. I thought it wasn't a thing. That was what they said during Man of Steel, like, during the whole development of that. Like, they weren't involving kryptonite because it's too bullshit. So, either they changed their mind because how can you have Superman without kryptonite, or that report is just bullshit. But really, I mean, let's get down to it. Batman and Superman, they're both lame. Alright? I'm sorry. They are. If that hurts your feelings. Superman is lame because... I mean... I'm not one of those people... I know people, I have friends that are just blind Superman haters. They've never read a single comic. But he's just, he can do anything. He's so stupid. He's so powerful. He's just so stupid. I'm not one of those people. I mean, I understand Superman's place in comic book history. I definitely do. And I've read a few Superman comics. And, you know, I know that he's gone through some strife. I know about that. But I still think he's kind of lame. Even though I'm a huge... I mean, obviously, I'm a huge fan of The Flash. Everybody knows that. And The Flash is arguably more bullshit than Superman is. So I don't know. But The Flash is interesting to me. Superman has just never really been interesting. But people can like Superman, whatever. Batman, on the other hand, Batman is lame because of shit like this. Because he's just a guy who can go up against Superman, apparently. And they can just throw each other through walls and stuff. Superman is akin to a god. Like, that's kind of the idea of the DC universe, is there's kind of like this just pantheon of godlike characters. You know, you have Superman, who's like... I don't know I don't even know what he's supposed to be like Jesus, I guess. You have Aquaman, who's like Poseidon. You have Flash, who's like Hermes. You have Wonder Woman, who's like... Insert female goddess here. You know, you have this kind of pantheon. It's based around that. But then it's like, oh yeah, here's Batman. He's a rich guy. It's just, why is he involved? Batman, I think, if it weren't for kind of the public conscience, Batman would never be included in, like, all this Justice League insane shit. Why would he? Why would he? I mean, yes, he's wealthy. He funds a lot of stuff. Yes, he's, like, the greatest detective in the world. But, come on, man. Going up against Superman? Like, Batman, in the way old days, when he was just a wealthy detective that had, you know, he had a bat suit and he had some gadgets, it's like, okay, he's kind of like a modern Sherlock. It's really cool. But he's wealthy. But now it's like he goes toe-to-toe with Superman. Like, why does that have to be a thing? It's so fan service, to be honest. It's incredible, just fan service. Because you have people just, oh, Superman would beat Batman's ass. And you're like, no, Batman, he's so smart, he can set traps and he's got gadgets, he could beat Superman. It's just like, go screw yourself. So I don't know. Of course I'm going to go see the movie. So that's besides the point. My ranting really doesn't mean anything because my ticket will be the same price as a Fanatic fan's ticket price, so it doesn't change anything. But I'm gonna go see it. But it's just gonna kind of piss me off, because why? I don't know. It's retarded. It's retarded. Like, Batman could just look at Batman and he would die. That's what Superman does. I don't know. It's yeah. Not much I can really say. It's fan service. I think we all realize that. If you honestly think Batman could beat Superman in a fight, you need to just do some more research, my friends. Also, if you honestly think Superman could beat the Flash in a race, you need to do some more research. That has nothing to do with it, but I wanted to throw that in. Batman. I used to be a fan of Batman. Used to like him quite a bit, but nowadays, no, they just turned him into Abomination. He's a mess. But they'll never go back to what he was. Like, they're never going to take him out of the Justice League and just power him down and he just solves basic crimes and things like that. Like, no. He's part of the godhood. Like, if you read, like, you know, ancient Greek myths and things like that about the gods, and it's like, oh yeah, there was, you know, Zeus and Poseidon, and there was Hades, and there was all that, but then there was also Joe. He had quite a bit of money, in Athens. He was a wealthy, you know, shipping magnate, but he worked with the gods on occasion. He did stuff with them. And he occasionally went down to hell and fought them some things, and you know stuff like that. Joe was up there. Zeus liked Joe. They fought on occasion, but you know. Anyways, enough of that. So this is another story. This is a very, very minor story, bordering on not having much to do with movies. But it caught my interest, and I thought I could talk about it. So. There was a story. This was, I don't remember, I don't even know when this was posted. This was posted like a week or so ago. About a family in New Jersey. And, this family bought, their dream home. Except that it was in New Jersey. And a few days after they moved into their dream home, they started receiving letters. And these letters were addressed by a persona, calling themselves the Watcher. And I don't have a list of all the letters and what like that, but the first letter that they received said, I'll quote, "My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming." The letters go on. "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them out to me. Have they found out what is in the walls yet? In time they will. I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me. Will the young bloods play in the basement? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom that I can plan better. Who am I? I am the Watcher." And there's a bunch more letters, and they're all kind of creepy like that. And so these letters went on for a little while, and eventually the family fled the home and left and moved out. And now they're suing the, I don't remember who they're suing, the real estate agency or the city or they're suing. Oh, they're suing the previous family, the insurance company, and an escrow settlement company. Suing all these people because nobody told them about this watcher. And so I bring this up. I'm not just reading news stories to you guys nowadays. I'm bringing this up because apparently people in Hollywood, various studios and all that, are just going crazy to get the rights to turn this into a feature film. It's really an interesting story. I guess part of the question is, first of all, is it a true story? Because you might think, who the hell would make this up? You know, who the hell would just send letters themselves that are really creepy about the Watcher? But, you know, you could make this up and then sue people that they didn't tell them about this creeper and get, you know, millions of dollars. But I guess then the previous family would be like, what the hell, we never got any of this bullshit, what are you talking about? So I guess that could fail. So maybe it is true. If it is true, it is pretty creepy, but it is New Jersey. I don't know why the guy refers to the children, I guess, as young bloods. That seems kind of funny to me, if you think about it. I mean, it sounds very black. Young bloods. I don't know. It is pretty creepy, though. What I don't understand is why anybody really wants to turn this into a movie. Because we already how many movies do we have about people, watching a house, trying to, The Strangers. The Strangers is, the best example. And apparently the director of The Strangers, Brian Bertino, is interested in turning this into a movie. It's like... I mean, we all know exactly. It would be called The Watcher. It would be called The Watcher. But who do they get the film rights from? Do they get the film rights from the current family? Or do they have to, find The Watcher and get the rights from him? Does he own the name The Watcher? Probably not. But, that would be pretty crazy. I mean, I don't even know if this guy has internet. But one day he's just, walking past a newsstand or something. He sees, The Watcher feature film coming out soon. He's like, hey, that's bullshit. They didn't talk to me about this. I don't know. I don't know why I brought this. I thought it was just kind of interesting. Because it is a little creepy, I'll admit. Except for I guess the one line that he wrote. Who am I? I am the Watcher. That's the corniest shit I've read in a long... you're going pretty creepy with, have they found out what is in the walls yet? They will, it's pretty creepy, but I am the Watcher, I'm Batman. I don't know. That was pretty... If I was talking to this guy, I'd probably critique him on that. And I probably wouldn't put that in the movie if I was writing the script. Because that's a bit too much. Apparently the house has been taken off the market, so it's not for sale at the moment. I would probably buy it. It's a $1.3 million dream home, 6-bedroom estate. It's a hell of a home in Jersey, 4,000 square foot. Open staircase, furnished playroom is in the basement. All sorts of stuff. You just kind of have to deal with this guy writing corny, somewhat creepy letters to you. I never check my mail anyways, so who cares? Maybe... It's not implied he's ever done anything. Or his father, or his they've just been watching the house for 90 years. I mean, maybe that creeps some people out. I don't know how he watches it. Does he have cameras, or does he just, stand outside? I think eventually you'd catch on to a guy standing outside, so maybe he has cameras. But you could probably hire somebody to just, sweep down the area. Or you could just, you could set up your own cameras. Who watches The Watcher? I would watch that movie. Who watches The Watcher? Anyways, I think that's about it for this week. That's all I really have to talk about, which really wasn't much at all. I kind of just wasted about a half an hour of your time. But thank you for letting me waste your time. Again, hopefully next week we have more stuff. Although, next week I will give a full review for Terminator Genisys. So, I get to talk about that next time. That's always good. I'm going to see that on Tuesday. Fingers crossed. Yeah, maybe video game stuff will happen. Probably won't. But that's the world we live in right now. Anyways, my name is Mang. If you are in America, have a happy 4th of July. If you are not in America, have a happy 4th of July. And I'll see you fine folks next week.